Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are when you are watching this. My name is Sharice Alexander, your host of Your Collective. In today's episode, I am joined by Dr. Alan Salas. And Dr. Alan Salas is frequently known as the mind clearing doctor. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is Dr. Salas clearing? And we will dive into that a little bit more today as Dr. Salas shares exactly what he does and how he helps people get out of their own way. So, without further delay, Dr. Salas, please tell us more about who you are, what you do, and actually how you got to doing what you do.
Sure, Cherise. Thank you for having me. And when we say in my country, I'm from France, we say bonjour, Cherise. How are you doing?
Bonjour, comment ça va?
Yeah, we look at you. Wow,
That's
perfect
it. Don't test
accent.
me. That's it. That's all I got.
I'm impressed. Okay, I'm still impressed. Here's the thing. Also to rent boat in south of France. So basically, I was like working 6, 7 months a year, and the rest of the time I was just traveling, right? I love to travel. I used to say that traveling is like a virus and there's no cure for it, right? So either I was traveling with my boat or I was like what we call a sun chaser,
Mhm.
right? For 7 years, I didn't know what winter was. So everybody would think, wow, what a life, right? But there was something missing, right? And after 6 years of living this life, I had like a kind of a calling, and I saw myself helping people. But I knew it would be about health, but I didn't know how to do that. And so I started to. You have to understand that in my family, nobody is involved with healthcare at all, not one soul. So I started to ask my clients, right? And one day, one client told me, you know what? I've got a Chinese doctor. He's coming to town, and if you want, maybe you should talk to him. I say, heck yes, yeah, I want to talk to that guy. And sure enough, he came. He spent the weekend, and we start talking, and we start to talk about healing and things like that. I was very intrigued for what he has to say. He said, Alan, you need to read those 3 books, and at the end of the season, when you're done working, you're going to come and visit me. I said, okay, no problem. So he gave me 3 books to read. The first one was called The Tao Taking, which is like a pretty deep spiritual book from China, right?
Mhm.
And a philosophical book also. And after the other one was called the Hara, Hara, which in Japanese means belly, right? And there's an entire philosophy that comes with it. That's why Japanese people traditionally kill themselves. And like if they are dishonored, they kill
Mhm.
themselves at the belly bottom, right? Underneath the belly bottom, which is, by the way, the center of gravity of human beings, right? And after another book, which was more philosophy of acupuncture, it was The Man Between the Sky and Earth, right? So I read all those books. Finally, the season was over. I couldn't wait, and I went to see that guy, and we started talking, right? So I inquired about Chinese medicine. He told me, well, really, Alan, if you really want to know what you're doing, you need to go to China, spend 10 years, like me, be fluent in Chinese. I said, wait a minute, I'm 30 years old. I want to help people one day, right? And he said, okay, so you look strong. Why not chiropractic? And so here we go. He gave me some contacts, some French people who went to the US
Yeah.
to learn chiropractic. And I got some information from the school, and I got that actually translated by one of my best friends. She was an English teacher, right? That's how bad
Mhm.
my English was at the time. And sure enough, I love, especially one thing, Cherise, that was really attracting to me. Is they talk about the innate intelligence, your
Mhm.
own ability to heal yourself. And
Yes.
that was fascinating for me. So sure enough, I just went to the US. Ended up talking, having like my mentor was from France, from my hometown. I mean, isn't it crazy?
Mm.
And so she introduced me to the school, gave me my first treatment. And I said, okay, that's what I'm going to do. So imagine they used to call me the gypsy, right? I used to party a lot,
Mhm.
all those years. And it was like a party, non-stop party
Yeah.
from what I can remember. And so, and when I told my parents, I said, you know what, I'm going to become a doctor. I'm going to go to the US. I mean, they really laughed. They had a good laugh at it, right? But they didn't know. They didn't understand truly what a calling was, right? When you've
Yeah.
got a calling, you just cannot say no. There's no,
I hear you.
right? You know that you know. So here we go. I went to the US and became a chiropractor in within 3 years. met my first wife, that she's actually from France. I
Mm-hmm.
met her in a bar in Kansas City. So we had the French connection right there. So many people, even in the US. Anyway, so, and I started to treat people, Cherise. And what happened, they will get better, but after they will plateau.
Yep.
And to maintain the plateau, very soon actually, they will plateau. And to maintain the plateau, they still have to come to see me. I said, there's something wrong with that, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they should be able to be on their own, right? If it's true healing.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's why I started to understand that if you got a problem in life, and that problem, Cherise, can be a health problem, can be a relationship problem, can be prosperity problem, right? In order to resolve your problem, you need to know two things for sure, right? If you
Mm.
know those two things, you'll be successful, meaning the problem is gone, you can move on, you're
Mm.
done with it, right?
Yep.
And so, what are those two things, right? Well, first of all, you need to find what's causing your problem, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
don't know what's causing your problem, good luck of, be able to fix it. And the number two, I just said, you need to know how to fix it.
Yes.
When you've got those two things, you know them, right? It's like, you come to my office and I say, oh, I know what's your problem, it's this. And after you tell me, oh, okay, Dr. Salas, what are you going to do? I say, well, I'm not sure, right? That's not going to work, right? So you need to have those two components. And because of that, I felt that I was kind of directed intuitively to learn more about inflammation in the body, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
started to do that. And basically what happened, I'll be able to scan your body, right? Find out, which organ are under stress and what's causing the stress. And if it was food sensitivity or things like that, infectious agent, we'll be able to treat that. And my practice started booming. Really, I was seeing like 250 patients a week. I had
Wow.
4 employees working for me. I mean, the American dream, right? Like the big house,
Mm-hmm.
in the best neighborhood, all that things. But that's when, things happen, right? So when you think you've got it all right, everything is fine with you, well, it didn't work out too well.
I hear you. Happens, right? You're
You see
getting
what I mean?
comfortable and life is like,
Yeah, you say,
nope, you're
okay,
not
here we
comfortable.
go. Now
Yeah.
this is like, everything is like flowing.
Yes.
Well, I started to, the problem is like I was always thinking about my work, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was doing the right thing, right? I was living my passion, my mission in life, has been lucky enough to have a mission in life given to me. So I
Mm-hmm.
was doing that, but the problem, like for example, if I will go back home, at the end of the day, I was there, but I was not present, right? I
Yes.
felt totally disconnected, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
of course, my relationship with my wife, went down the drain basically. And within a year, Cherise, within a year, I ended up divorced, right? Living in my office. And I thought I will live there. Oh, it's only temporary, only 6 months. I spent 3 years living in this
Wow.
office. And don't get me wrong, it was a big office, like with a treatment room. I installed a shower, all that. Of course, I mean, it was nice, but still, right? I didn't
Yeah.
have really a home. And so, but anyway, so remember they used to call me the gypsy, so it was not a big deal, I guess, for me.
Yes.
And so after what happened, well, because I felt depressed because I had a daughter, Maya, and it was hard on her and all that. So my mind was not into it, right? And so my business went from thriving to failing.
Mm-hmm.
And the cherry on the cake here, I got diagnosed with early stage of colon cancer. So imagine even this affected everything,
Yes.
right? My health, my relationship, my prosperity, but also the core of who I was defining myself, which is my job. Because I was doing my own program that was
Mm-hmm.
supposed, to stay away from all those crazy disease. Remember, cancer is the number two killer in America, right? And yet I have it, right? So I had really to redefine myself at every aspect.
Yes.
Right. So that's really what happened. And that's why I went on a quest, Cherise, about what is the force behind, what is the force within that was making sure that I will like sabotage my health, sabotage
Mm-hmm.
my relationship, and sabotage my prosperity, right? And so that's the quest that I went on. And the mindset that I had, I never saw myself as a victim. And because my dad showed me what not to do, basically, my dad was very negative and controlling person, right? So
Mm-hmm.
at 40 years old, he was on disability, right? I
Mm-hmm.
never went back to work.
Wow.
So I saw and after when people will call him, typically Cherise, they will say, how are you doing? Meaning, how your disease? So he's doing, right? Because he
Yeah.
was puking all the time, after every meal. He was puking life, literally, out. And so basically, he never recover. And after you identified yourself with a disease, consciously, subconsciously, more than likely, oh, I get the love and the attention if I'm sick. So therefore, if I heal, I'm not going to get the attention.
Mm.
And so you got caught on that loop. Right? And so that's why I knew that, what I will find, the way I will find to heal myself, not only will be helpful for me, and I'm sure I will grow from that and redefine myself, but also it will be good for my patient. It will translate into my patient. So I never blame on my wife, my ex-wife. I never blame on circumstances. I knew there was something within me that was pushing that.
I thank you for sharing so much. That there's a lot there. I think one thing that I want to kind of go back to that I think is so important, and I just had a conversation with somebody about this the other day, right? Because you were thriving, right? You had your practice, you were living your purpose. And sometimes I think we really downplay the importance of having being on mission or on purpose, like what you're here to actually do. And you're so blessed that you were able to find it so early
Yeah.
in your life and to be able to recognize that no matter what, it might get tweaked along the way, but that you knew that you were on mission and on purpose. So, my question to you is often, and I've definitely been in this place myself where it's like, well, I don't know what it is. How do people begin to find that? That thing that lights that fire in your belly, that thing that starts to direct you towards where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing, that is on purpose or that will lead to fulfillment. How do people begin to find that if they don't know where
Well,
it is?
here's the problem. Why? Because what your question implies, why so many people don't find it, right?
Yeah.
Really? And so why not too many people are not finding it? Because, we are too much in our heads.
Mm.
See, that's the thing. We have been taught we have to be in our head. So therefore, and we're going to see also trauma and limiting belief. We're going to talk about that. Shut down the heart. So all the energy goes to your head,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we don't have peace of mind because we have been taught in order to be performant, we need to be a good problem solver.
Mm-hmm.
When you've got when you are an entrepreneur, when you have any things in your job, they told us, okay, if you're a good problem solver, you got it, right? That's it. But the problem is that the problem is a problem, right? It's not a positive thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why 80%, according to the stats, right, 80% of people's thoughts are negative.
Yeah.
95% we are reliving what we have been living, the same thought that the day before. We've
Yeah.
got 40 to 60,000 thoughts a day.
Oof.
That's crazy. There's
Thought it
no
was like
peace there.
25. I'm even more overwhelmed now that you said it's 40 to 60.
Yeah, it depends who you're reading. Some people they say even less, but what is the common problem of people? They are overthinking, right? I don't even recall how many people told me that I
Hmm.
overthink. Please, can you help? And so we are overthinking because we're too much in our head. So the energy
Hmm.
is going to the head, so the heart is shut down.
Yeah.
Where is your purpose is located in the heart. The
Hmm.
purpose is why you do things, right?
Mm.
And the why you do things, it's from the heart. It's your heart
Hmm.
talking to you, right? So if your heart is shut down, that's going to be hard to find your purpose. You
Yeah.
see
And,
what I mean?
I think
That's the
I
reason
do.
why.
I do think that that's definitely, and I was recently having this conversation at work where I was saying something along those lines, right? Like, how do we really connect all three? And there was some resistance that I perceived. And it was like, because I've generally been in the last few years very heart led. And I think that sometimes people really misunderstand what it means to lead from the heart or to make decisions. Now, I'm not saying make every single decision with the heart, but I think really what you're talking about is really sinking into your body and tuning into your body and feeling how things make you feel. So if you're making a decision about something, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're making a decision about something that's coming in work related and you have some anxiety around it, and I think we know the difference between what anxiety feels like and what excitement feels like. And if you don't, then maybe start inquiring about that. But if you're going to make a decision about something and you feel it in your body and you've got a sense of anxiety, I always take those cues in my body as an invitation to ask more questions. And realistically, I think that's really what you're talking about, is that we spend so much time up here. Yes, we've disconnected from the heart, but there's other cues that show up in the body ultimately to say, yes, that's exciting, or no, don't go there. Yeah,
I would like to make like few comments about that.
sure.
Well, how do I know for sure that the heart is shut down? Well, what is the number one killer in this country?
Heart
Cardiovascular
disease.
disease.
Yeah.
It's not only linked to the diet. I mean, of course, I
Hmm.
know that's what I do, right? I know that I treat, your physical stress, the chemical stress, and the emotional and mental stress.
Hmm.
So I'm aware of that, but it's not only that. That's
Yeah.
why, because the heart is shut down, right? And so, well, we can develop into that. There's interesting that something that is very interesting is like when we're going to talk about the subconscious mind. Well, the subconscious mind wisdom, the way the subconscious mind talk to you, if you want, is through your intuition,
Hmm.
right? And so the problem, we are too much in our head, but we use the left brain overwhelming, right? It's overwhelming how we use our left brain. So we are analytical, right? And we don't use too much the creativity,
Hmm.
the more the right side, right? And so that's why it's very important to be balanced,
Yep.
right? And so that's overhead. And so so what was your question again?
I think I was just highlighting the point because you were talking a lot about in the heart
Yeah,
center, right? And how
yes.
that's been shut off. And we can see the correlation in the increase in heart disease, which is ultimately the number one killer. And
Mhm.
I was just talking about the other ways to identify, really things of being on purpose and on point. Because if your heart is shut down, you might not feel what you're talking about, right? Because you can't necessarily receive that signal
Correct.
intuitively that you're on. So you got to be able to recognize it in other parts of your body as well, was the point that I was making.
So what to do, right? Well, you need to have an open mind, right?
Hmm.
And I'm gonna explain all that, right? What I'm saying, but basically you need to have an open mind, an open heart,
Hmm.
and an open will. That's a philosophical concept that I did develop. And when you've got those three aligned, this is it. Because your mind, okay, let's go into that, right? So your
Yeah.
mind is like the how you do things. Your heart is why you're doing things, and your will, which is your belly, in your belly, what we call the hara. Remember the book that he asked me
Yes.
to read, right? So the hara means belly in Japanese. It's your will, right? It's the action, doing things, right? So, and the open will, it's what are you doing? So, how I'm going to do it, why I'm going to do it first, right?
Hmm.
My intention, right?
Hmm.
Why I'm doing that, my purpose, my intention, right?
Yep.
How I'm going to do it, and what I'm going to be doing.
Or the will to do it, which is
That's
interestingly
it.
enough,
That
as
it's
you
what you're
see how
doing,
this is
right?
all
It's what you're going
connected
to
though,
create.
because you said in Japanese it's called hara. And as soon as you said the will, which is located in the belly, equally, the
Yes.
solar plexus was just the power center of will, the drive to do something, right? Or personal power. So sorry, go ahead and continue.
No, no problem. So, what I wanted to say, it's like when you've got those three aligned, it means like your thought, your emotion,
Hmm.
and your action or your behavior. They are the
Hmm.
same. They are located in the belly, a bit below the belly button, right? When they are all aligned or in coherence, if you want to use the big word,
Hmm.
well, more than likely you're going to get what you want.
Yes.
And the way you do, it's like because it was that way, the peace of mind is about masculinity, right? I'm a man, we want peace. No doubt about it,
I
right?
just learned that the other day.
You see what I mean? So we want peace, right? And obviously the feminine part is more about feeling, right?
Hmm.
And the creation, which is, when you take action, you take action, is
Yeah.
the combination of both
Hmm.
masculine and feminine. When a woman carry a baby in the belly, right? There's the combination of the sperm and the ovum,
Yeah.
right? And so that's how we create. And most of the people in my field, they stop here. They think about the mind, or the head and the heart to be aligned, which is good, right?
Yes.
Which is basically, if you want to talk about some language that they use, the law of attraction, right? But
Hmm.
it's still a fantasy in your head until you take action.
Yeah.
And that's the law manifestation, which is what you want,
Yeah,
right?
and so many people, and this just literally, I was having a conversation with my sister this morning, and I'm always having these conversations about manifestation. And that's a major part of the disconnect, right? Is that people, and we're going to get into that, but what you're talking about is keeping it here, which is still just a thought, but manifesting isn't just thinking it. It's how do we actually bring it down, for lack of putting a better way, out of the ether into fruition or into physical manifestation. And there's a delicate balance with that as well, because people are always like, oh, well, I can manifest the things that I don't like very well, but I have a tricky time manifesting the things that I do want in my
Well,
life.
because we have limiting belief, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that. But the thing and the matter, in order to create, we need to, in this world, in order to create, you need to take action.
Hmm.
Otherwise, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah. It's
You're
just an
not
idea.
going to create anything if you don't take action. It's like you can have a good concept in your mind,
Hmm.
your heart will be on things, but if you don't take the action to make it, you're not going to create anything. So it's
Absolutely.
really the combination of masculine and feminine, right? This has to be combined. Your head and your heart has to work together in order to after to create in your belly, right? And creation is actually the darkness, right? That's what we are confused. We always see of the light and things like that. I mean, again, I created an entire philosophy according to that. We can dive into that, but we need to. I think the audience need to know what our limiting belief and all that. But yeah, the creation it's about darkness. So a baby is like in the darkness, in the womb of a mom. When you've got a tree, you take a tree, right? And after the tree is designed to make what? A fruit, right?
Hmm.
And the fruit's gonna go down to the ground where it's gonna get all the minerals, all that. That's where the creation is.
That's
And
very true.
after it's gonna come to the light.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that because I'm like, oh, your creation in the darkness. But really, what you're talking about is the planting of a seed, right? Is
Yeah.
really what we're talking
And
about.
darkness and light or darkness, I mean, they are all necessary.
Yes.
There's no better. People think always about enlightenment. Well, enlightenment, okay. When I do meditation, I've been doing meditation for 15 years. It's pretty dark. It's just
That's
the
true.
nothing to me is just total darkness. But when you feel like you are, I mean, there's everything dissolved, right?
Mm.
And to me, it's in the darkness. That's my own experience. I cannot talk for other people and things like that. But really, when I feel that I'm connected to my spirit and whatever is above, it's total darkness. It's like
Hmm.
emptiness.
Void.
So I think there's lots of misconception that we use words and we think the light is everything. I say no, the light is more your mind, and your heart is more like at the center and after the darkness. So if you look at everything is vibration, it's like this, right? And so the top of a wave, if you want, is more like your mind and your head. At the intersection on that line, that's where your heart is. And after you've got the darkness, right, positive and negative, but it doesn't mean it's good and bad.
Hmm.
That's where judgment comes in, and they don't have to come in.
Yeah, it's just contrast. And as I often
Yeah,
relate to people, because,
exactly,
it's like, how do you, and I've definitely said it on the podcast before, that you can't know light if you don't experience dark. You can't
exactly.
appreciate joy if you don't go through sorrow. Like, it's the realm that we live in, relativity. We must have contrast in order to understand and learn these things. I think it's appropriate now that we talk more about your systems.
Yeah,
Mind
sure.
clearing, body clearing. So tell us, so you've given us the background of how you evolved to the work that you do. So tell us more about the mind and body clearing.
So to go back to my story, I had to find a way, right, to heal myself and all that. So remember, you need to find what's causing the problem and how to fix it. So for the mind, I decided to go. If you come to my office, Sheris, what happened? You are somebody who got potentially physical stress, chemical stress, and emotional stress. So I
Hmm.
wanted to find the causes on all that and how to fix it on all that. So let's jump. So I found a way for the physical stress, the chemical stress. Now let's jump into the emotional and mental, right? So
Hmm.
mind and body connection. We all talking about it, right? But truly, what is the mind? Right? I mean, so I started to research, I started to learn technique, and I will tell you, oh, you've got some low back pain because you've got guilt, negative emotion that is there, and we're going to release that, right? So I had some success even for myself, but yet I knew intuitively, I knew for sure actually that there was something more into that. So I
Hmm.
really started to dive into the mind. And what I've learned like just blow me away, literally blow me away. So just the first things, yeah, we live in two separate worlds at the same time. So what do I mean by that, right? We've got what we call the outer world and the inner world.
Yep.
So what is the outer world, right? So it's called the conscious mind. So it's like your self identity, your personality. who you think you are, how you perceive the reality around you, or what you're aware about, right? So basically, your thought, your emotion, your behavior, your action, things like that. What you think you can do or cannot do. So that's your conscious mind, right? And after you've got the mystery, the secret things, the things that you're not aware, that is called the unconscious, we're going to call it the subconscious mind to keep it simple, right? And the subconscious mind, what it does primarily just record everything you have been doing in your life, Cherise, from age zero to now. Everything is recorded there. Your skill as a human being, as a woman, as a podcaster, whatever you do, right, are stored there. But also all the automatic things that happen in your body, like your heartbeat, like your breathing, all the things you don't have to think about it,
Yeah.
and they will naturally process. And so that was very intriguing. What is that subconscious mind, right? So started to dive into that, and what I noticed is like the first thing is like, well, your conscious mind, so your self-identity, who you think you are, process data at 11 bits per second. Right? And by contrast, the subconscious mind process data at 11 million bits per second.
Wow.
So that sounds like much more powerful. So I say, okay. And after the second things that really blew me away, I mean, like people, if you guys are standing up, please sit down. You're not going to believe your ears, right? I mean, so according to who you read, the conscious mind is only 5 to 10% of your mind.
Yeah.
Therefore, your subconscious mind is only 90 to 95% of our mind. And yet we focus only our conscious mind, which is 5 or 10% our mind power and brain power, right? So I was thinking, hey, you know what? What if we bring the subconscious mind to the party?
Yeah. Imagine what
So
kind of magic happens when we use more of the
yes,
subconscious mind.
it has to be. And so also what I've learned, it's like that subconscious mind can be programmed. So what do I mean by that? And especially like around zero, I mean, anytime, but more especially from age 0 to 6 to 8 years old, depends who you're reading again. So how does it work? Well, when we are very innocent, right? When we are born and things
Yeah.
like that, we don't have too many filters. So we assume that the outside world is fine, right? So we assume things. And if we have a repetition of the same thing, we assume more and become a program. So you've got two kind of program, right? You've got programs that are serving you, and unfortunately, programs that are not serving you any longer.
Yeah.
So the programs that are serving you, we call that empowering belief, right? It means your mind is working for you, basically, to keep it
Okay.
very simple. And after, you've got the ones that are not serving you any longer, right? We call that limiting belief. So it's kind of your mind is working against you, right? You don't want that for sure. And so I think it will be good at this point to give a listener an example, if you allow me, right?
Yes, please.
So let's pretend. I always give that example because it works very well. People understand it, right? So imagine there's a little girl that see her dad that is an alcoholic, come back every night and beat up his wife. So what do you think down the road when she's a woman? What kind of romantic relationship she's going to attract?
An abusive one because it's what she knows.
That's it. So she's going to attract an abused one. So an abusive one, right? So this there's few comments I want to make about that. First of all, if you had that woman, like we agree, maybe probably 80% of the people will agree with us, right? Anyway, so if we ask that woman, you say, "Hey, do you enjoy to get beat up like like your mom?" The conscious mind, she's going to say, heck no. But the subconscious mind has been programmed and is going to override everything that she wants, right? And the program is men are predators and women are prey, right? So now the second comment I want to make, how she's going to attract that man? She's going to say, hey, you, let me shake your hand. Can you beat me up? Right? It's not going to work that way. So it's kind of like, Cherise, our subconscious mind are connected. That's why we say
Yeah.
we are all one. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean, again, that we have to love everybody. I'm not saying that, but we are connected.
Yes.
And the subconscious mind, it's like going to whisper to her mind. She's not going to be aware, and she's going to say, this guy is the one. Because this guy maybe has been bullied and now is a bully, right? And so, the conscious mind of this guy is going to say, oh, that woman, right? She's like a perfect prey for you.
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to
Mm-hmm.
fall in love,
Yep.
right? And they're going to start to tango together, to dance, to have that dance, that polarity that
Mm-hmm.
attract them, right?
Yep.
And that's it.
I'm so glad you explained it like that because that's a difficult concept for people to because
I know.
the often when I was having this conversation once with someone and I simply said to them, I said, do you believe that you're in co-creation with the divine? Exactly what you just said. It's just how I worded it though. And she was like, no. And I said, okay, so the experience that you're having right now that you absolutely hate, you think you have zero part in creating. And she's like, no, I didn't create this. And I said, okay, no problem. I said, do you believe in manifestation? Can you manifest the things you like? And she said, yes. I said, okay, great. I said, so if you can manifest the things you like, then can you also equally manifest the things that you don't like? And she's like,
Of course.
yeah, she's like, she paused. She didn't actually
Yeah.
answer because what does that do when you have to take responsibility for, and it's not anybody's fault. It's not about fault. It's about awareness. So as soon as you say, I created this subconsciously, that means you have to take responsibility. You now have to be accountable that if you really, really don't like the state of your life, well, hey, here's the good news, folks. You have the awareness that that's ultimately what the connection is. And now you have the active choice to say, okay, I didn't realize I was on that program because it's in the subconscious. Remember, 90, what is it, 95 to
90,
97%?
90 to
Whatever.
95%.
A high number is being run by your subconscious mind. So it's not a situation to feel bad about, to have shame about, to have guilt about. It's simply an awareness and a choice to address the limiting beliefs. So sorry, I didn't want to jump in there,
No,
but
that's good. I mean,
yeah,
what you say that it's not your fault is so true, right? Those
yeah,
are programming. It is what it is, right? But again, and what you say about responsibility, are 200% are you in agreement with that. But when you know, right? It's like that's the thing. When you know, you have to live up to your knowledge, right? I mean, you cannot say, "Oh no." So she was that woman that the example. She was a little bit on a victim in a way. Oh, things
yes,
happen to me. I blame my circumstances. Remember, like I described earlier.
yes.
And so she couldn't see the creativity that she has, and that's fine. And after with logic, you are able to make her understand that.
But it's
But
so empowering, right? It's really
yes,
quite empowering once you can and I think that there's so much negative talk around what you just said, right? In terms of like victim mindset, right? It's
yes,
just and even constantly and we still have these conversations and every time we get on the phone, it's always about what is somebody outside of me doing to me? And I keep reverting it right back to her. I'm like, "Okay, so what about you?" And when I say that, people always assume that I'm laying blame, but it's not about laying blame. It's about taking accountability for the fact that you are in creation, you're in co creation.
but if you look at that, the way society is, to go even deeper with your point, we've got what we call the hero complex.
Okay.
So what is the hero complex? It means that you see on movie, you're going to wait for the hero to come and save the day,
Mhm.
save your life and all that, right? But that's not how it works. That's why you need to take responsibility and look within, right? That's how it truly works. But we have been told that you need to have a boss, you need to have this, and there's people higher than you, and all that. We all have. It's like, for example, what we call the supernatural, being to have superpower. We all have. It's there. It's there already. They're not superpower, but we just think the problem is we have been taught that we are only our self identity, meaning that we are only 5 or 10% our mind.
Mhm.
And so if I want to zoom out, take the opportunity to zoom out since we're going that way, let's zoom out, right? And so imagine there's the sun. And the sun after creates, so the sun is God, is awareness, is whatever you believe in, right? It's
Mhm.
like really everything that has been and will ever be, right?
Okay.
And after that, create your spirit, right? And this is, and your spirit, the spark of the sun or ray of the sun, if you want, create your spirit, right? And this is still on non-duality, right? Because there's no good and bad, there's no judgment, it's all varies, right?
Yeah.
And after you've got clouds, right? And after you've got you, right? Me, you. We are here physically, right?
Yeah.
And just so some people, it's so cloudy out there, they think there's no sun. They think that the sun never existed actually because they never experienced it, right?
Yep.
So
That's
what's
true.
preventing you to experience the sun, right? Well, it's this cloud, obviously, right? Because the sun is always there, right? Never go away. And so what happened is like the cloud are your limiting belief.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They are the thing that I described in your subconscious mind, those program, right? So when you start to get rid of a limiting belief, now you can feel the warmth of the sun. Now
Mm-hmm.
you can even see the ray of the sun. And more limiting beliefs you get rid of, more you become connected to your spirit. And
Yeah.
after finally you've got the awareness that you were describing, that you are a spirit having an earthly experience or a human being
Mm-hmm.
experience, if you want. And
Absolutely.
after what happened, if you take a triangle and in the middle of a triangle, you put empowering belief, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to be more empowered, right? You
Yeah.
understand, you feel, you know deep inside that you are much more than 5 or 10% of your mind, that you are much more than your self identity, that you are connected to spirit, right? And so you're going to have more empowering belief, obviously, right?
Yep.
So that's going to lead on the top of a triangle. You're going to have more positive thought. At the bottom right side of a triangle, you're going to have more supportive emotion.
Mm-hmm.
On the left side of a base of a triangle, therefore, you're going to have desirable behavior and productive action. Now, the opposite, let's pretend there's a limiting belief. Let's pretend the limiting belief, my dad told me you're a loser,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, on the top of a triangle, I'm going to think I'm a loser. I'm going to feel like a loser. I'm going to behave like a loser. And I'm going to have loser result,
Mm-hmm.
which going to make me feel more like a loser.
Yep.
I'm going to think, man, I knew I was a loser, but that much. And that's going to reinforce that limiting belief that I'm a loser. So we are caught on what I call the subconscious stress loop. And all those loops, they are running behind the scene all the time, like a program in a computer.
Mm-hmm.
All the time and can be triggered and activated by different things, right? But it's all the time like this. So to go back to that example, there's three, remember that little girl, there's three case scenario. The case scenario number one, she's going to marry that guy, right? The abusive guy, right? And she can get stuck with that guy for the rest of her life. We don't know people like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? They are in abusive relationship and cannot get out. Case scenario number two, she may get with that guy and after she says, oh, see, now I've get another guy. And usually, you know what? There's two things that a woman will tell me. The first thing is, and you know what, Dr. Salas? I'm done with guys. Men, they're not good for me. I'm done. I don't want to be a part of it, right? So it's a part, they just have an awareness now, right? They say, oh, it burned too much. I'm going to stay away from that flame,
Mm-hmm.
right? Kind of deal. But if you want to have true healing, because yes, you can heal through your life experiences, of course. But look at all the suffering. Look at all the time. She may have kids along the way. Who knows,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so when she knows that she's truly healed, it's when basically she finds somebody that is totally the opposite than a predator.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that is nurturing, somebody that is kind, somebody that respects her, somebody that sees her as an equal.
Yeah.
And that's how you know that you heal.
Thank you for that. I wanted to go back to something that you'd said. You said that we need to know why and then how in terms of removing the limiting beliefs. And let me be clear if that question's not clear or that statement. So, what if somebody doesn't know? Like there's all kinds of
We don't
trauma
need
that,
to know we don't need to know the limiting belief.
okay. So then what are you identifying then? Like if I don't know whatever the original trauma was, but we know that there are limiting beliefs there, is it enough to just know what the limiting beliefs are based on what's being manifested either physically or in our lives? Physically, as in our body or in our lives, to be able to identify then what the limiting belief actually is. I'm one of these people who always wants to know why. That's why I'm always
Yeah, but
asking
that's a
questions.
misconception. And
Okay.
how do you expect using 5 to 10% of your mind, your analytical mind, to crack the code of 90% of your mind power? Good luck. Because here's the thing, the way I feel it, and I don't mean to degrading anybody when I'm saying that is a fact. What we have been taught how to get rid of a limiting belief and what are they? It's not right. It's not right because what they're gonna tell you, you need to journal, you need to feel it, you need to do affirmation, lots of repetition. Man, this is hard work, I mean,
Mhm.
you need to have, talking about the will, you need to have an iron will. It's gonna take forever. So I feel that right now in my field, They are not talking the same language that the limiting belief, right?
So
That
we
our
agree
programming.
that, so in that sense, what you're saying is you agree, we will just say for the sake of this conversation that
Uh-huh.
there's many methods to clearing or
Sure.
addressing what the limiting beliefs are. It's just what is traditionally talked about out there is
Correct.
the long, painful path, and yours is to the point. So let's talk more about, if you don't mind sharing, like what is the
Sure.
somebody hears this and says, you know what, I think I've got some limiting beliefs, or I'm really dissatisfied with my life. Dr. Salas, I'm coming to see you. What do you do? What does the process look like?
All right. So we're talking about talking the same language, right?
Mm.
Well, when you dream, what do you remember of a dream? A picture or a
Yeah.
series of pictures.
Yeah.
I never heard anybody who said, oh, you know what? I remember only the smell of a dream. It will never happen.
Hmm.
So that's why the subconscious mind is so powerful at recording data, right? That's why it's 11 million bits per second, because it's in a picture. That's how
Hmm.
the subconscious mind communicates, right? So basically, what I will tell you, I will say, okay, well, let's see if you've got, okay, first of all, let's broaden the aspect of a limiting belief, right? Limiting belief, they are not about, I'm not good enough, all that. They are not only about that. They
Hmm.
are, okay, but that's why typically we attribute that. Negative belief can create pain in your body. They can create symptoms. They
Hmm.
can create inflammation in your body. They can create negative thought. They can create overwhelming emotion. They can create like non-desirable behavior. They can create also unproductive action, right?
Hmm.
They can also, like we know now, disconnect you from your spirit. So limiting belief, they are not only when you Google and you say, oh, you've got this, I'm not good enough, I'm too old for this, I will never change. Or, that's only a part of it. And those collective limiting beliefs, they also exist, but that's only a part of it.
Yeah.
And so I will basically, let's talk, because I use pain a lot with my patient to monitor my progress when I was creating that technique, right? So I will say, so basically, because pain, you've got an instant feedback, right? Either it
Hmm.
works or it doesn't work, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you cannot fake it, right? And so basically, you come and you have heard, you say, you know what? Let's do, I've got low back pain. And you say, I've heard of you that, I try everything. I think I've been everywhere and I'm no success, right? I say, okay, well, let's give it a shot. And so I will say, Sheris, what you need to do is just to visualize really the worst pain that you ever experienced or you in your life, in your low back. So you visualize a picture, right? That picture is the representation of your limiting belief. You don't have to know what it is because
Hmm.
picture is worth 1,000 words. There's some symbolism in that picture. There's something that we cannot even describe with words.
That's true.
We
Like
cannot
the
even, like
realm.
dreams. There's dream interpretation book. Why? Because we are trying to dissect, that
Hmm.
picture of that dream because it's so complex
Yeah.
and it's gonna be yours. I'm here to guide you only. We're gonna give you the technology, Cherish, to heal yourself.
Hmm.
You're going to be able to use 95% of your mind power that has been left unchecked. I'm just a guide, right? I'm just helping you. So basically, I will say, okay, share is visualize that, and after you will. I'm going to tell you which program to download. It's going to be a customized program to you, right, to
Hmm.
that picture, and you're going to download it yourself. That's it.
Yeah.
You healing yourself.
Yeah.
And that's when you empower somebody to heal herself or himself, to grow and to transform herself and himself. This is the holy grail in my book. This is the holy grail of healing and transformation and growth. There's no better than that. There's no better gift that you
I agree.
can give to anybody to
I
do that.
agree.
You see
And I
what I mean?
think that that's what a lot of these modalities are about. It's, for the audience, it's really about empowering you. It's not me trying to fix you or Dr. Salas or any of the other folks that have been on here. It's having the awareness and the understanding that you are your own guru. You can heal yourself, you can heal your mind, your body, your spirit. It's really just about a matter of having the tools and the resources in order to bring about those changes in your life. So that is
Yeah.
then how you deal with the mind using visualization. And you're right.
Well, we're not done yet, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to explain, but I will say you are the one you have been waiting for.
Yeah, that's true.
That's it.
Yep.
You are the one who have been you have been waiting for help or whatever. You are the one. So now, before I used some technique, I will have told you, oh, Cherise, you've got that negative emotion. It's a guilt or whatever in your low back, and that's what created it. So you have to believe me, right? You have to trust me. I'm a human being. I can make mistakes.
Yeah.
Maybe it won't work for you. And so anyway, we agree that it's so empowering. So basically you will visualize that. So we delete step number one, we delete what you don't want, we delete your limiting belief. And after I will have told you, I say, you know what, Cherise, I want you to visualize the opposite of that picture. Totally the opposite. And you love that picture. That's gonna be the empowering belief, right? So
Mm-hmm.
maybe you see yourself doing yoga, maybe you see yourself walking on the beach. Those are all symbolism. There's more than a
Mm-hmm.
picture that come from your subconscious mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal. So I don't need to know. You don't need to know what
I
it
see what
is.
you're saying
Who
now. I
cares?
do see what you're saying. Now
You see what I
that
mean?
makes sense. Yeah. That
You don't
does
need
make
to
sense.
know because
Yeah.
we're dealing with something that is so much more powerful than our self identity. So,
Mm-hmm.
how can you, with your self identity, figure it out? There's no
Mm-hmm.
way. How can you, using only 5 or 10% of your mind power, to figure out the rest, right? So, we're using the same language, right? It's like in the podcast, right? We've got audio and video. Let's see, our audio is we're done. It's off, right? It's gone. So I'm going
Yeah.
to try to explain, that's what it's my field now. We're going
Yeah.
to try to explain with sign language. I'm going to write something. How far can we go? How deep can we go? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now with the man clearing, you've got the audio on. No
Yeah.
problem. You can communicate with your subconscious mind, with your superpower, if you want, like to call it that way. But it's truly who you are. It's a part of who you are. It's 90% part of who you are, right? And so I will ask you, okay, so and after we'll customize the program to you, right? And after you will download that picture to your subconscious mind, right? That's what you want, right? And after you want to create, remember we talk about creation. You
Mm-hmm.
want to create, you want to manifest that into what I call the screen of life, because you want to make sure it's going to happen in your life. Because if you look for people who like about programming and computer, I can give that quick analogy, right? So let's compare your mind to a computer. So let's pretend your brain is your hard drive. I had a bestseller book. It's called The Brain Power Secret. That I talk about. That the brain is only an interface. Your thought, your emotion, and all that, they are not in your brain. I guarantee you
Yeah.
that they can be. They are not originating from your brain, should I
Mm-hmm.
say? They are not originating from your brain. They are coming from your spirit, and after your soul, and after, of course, different layers of your body. So basically, your brain is your hard drive. The software of your computer is your subconscious mind. The output of that software is your conscious mind. And your behavior is what you see in the screen of life.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got lots of good software, right? Lots of empowering belief, you're gonna love your screen of life. You say, man, life is great, I really never better. But if you've got lots of limiting belief, right? It's like
Yeah.
those software are working against you.
Mm.
And so the what you're gonna see on the screen of life, you say, oh man, life is like it's tough, it's
What a
always
great
lots of
analogy.
suffering, lots of this and all that.
Yeah.
Does it make
What a
sense?
great analogy. No, that's a beautiful, that's probably one of the best analogies I've heard in a long time to explain that connection. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, so that's basically it. And after, so what kind of result? Well, you can go on my website, themanclearing.com, right? And you will see testimonial. I'm bringing much more testimonial, right? And so basically, you see pain, you taking care of pain in 2 visits, 80% of the
Wow.
time, right? And the pain can have been there for 20 years, doesn't matter. It's a program.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When the program is gone, that's it. We're done. So, for example, after your low back, after the session, you say, "Oh, my low back is gone."
Yeah.
Right? So I will say, if a pain comes back, you need to write down the circumstances. So maybe you were upset, or
Okay.
maybe, for example, you start to be more on your computer and you say, "Oh, my low back pain came back." So I call that resistance of healing. It means what we have been doing before the first session is still gone, right? It's still
Mm-hmm.
deprogrammed, but there's more triggers, right? Some people call that trigger. I don't like the word too much. I call that resistance for healing, resistance for transformation. So we'll do more mind clearing on that, and after we're done.
It's important, I think, here. to, you talked about resistance to healing. And really, I think what you're talking about as well, very clearly, is resistance to change. And it's important to understand that there will be resistance. Or is it, oh, I guess maybe I should ask, is it normal to experience resistance to change because we're changing a loop, we're changing a pattern, we're changing a way of being? Or are you saying with your methodology that shouldn't really happen, but if it does, it's because of maybe strong conditioning? Then is that correct?
It just depends. It just
Okay.
depends how many negative thoughts, how
Mm,
many depends how misaligned you are, right? So, for example, if I decided, remember we talk about the alignment, right? To
yeah.
have your thought, your emotion, and your behavior and action, right? So, let's see if I want to start a diet, right? And say, okay, so my mind say yes, start a diet, and after I've got an emotion, and the emotion, oh, I remember. That I started the diet, I was successful. 2 weeks later, I gained back all the weight
Mhm.
and more.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to take any action, right? Because it's not aligned, right? And so if it takes, I mean, if we can, I've got result treating a pain in one visit, right? So it just depends our mind programming, how many things were put. Like I think the longest I had, she had like two knee replacement. She had some shoulder pain, and this took 5 visits, right? Because she
Okay.
put it so many mental block, emotional block, and things like that. But I will say the average is 2 visits 80% of the time, which I take that anytime.
Mm,
Especially that you just don't, it's not invasive, right? You're
yeah.
just reprogramming your mind, right? And you are doing it.
Yeah. So then I'm assuming then that most clients come to you because they're having some physical manifestation, or do you work with clients who are like, I'm just not really happy with my life? Like
Yeah,
there's
well,
no physical manifestation, but I'm just not happy with my movie screen. No physical pain, we'll say.
so yes and no, right? Because let's face it, people come to see me because they've got problem
Mhm.
like pain,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
so that's usually one. But I said, it's good to treat the pain at first because it's very polarizing. You always thought about the pain; it's
Yep.
always there, right? It's an alarm signal, right? It's telling you something wrong, right? You need to slow down or take action or whatever, right? So it's a good thing. Actually, it's not comfortable, but it's your alarm system on, right?
Yes.
And so, yeah. So what I tell people, I say, you make a list. You make a list of all the challenge you had in your life, all the trauma you had in your life, all the negative thought you don't want in your life, all the negative emotion you don't want in your life, all the behavior that you think it's not you. And it's not you, it's a program, by the
Mm-hmm.
way. It's not you,
Mm-hmm.
it's not the real you, right?
Yep.
And so you do all that, and we'll go after that. Depends how deep they want to go. And I told them that's going to change your life, right?
Yep.
And for what I like with mind clearing, not only number one, like we already mentioned, you are doing the healing, but also it's very targeting, right? It's not like, oh, I'm going to meditate. And don't get me wrong, I've been doing meditation for decades, right?
Yep.
But it's like shoot in the dark, right? I'm not going to say, oh, I'm going to meditate and I'm going to get rid of my pain, right? Good luck. So it's more a different way to connect, which is great, right? But
Yep.
the mind clearing is very specific because you've got that specific picture that you don't want,
Mm-hmm.
and you put that specific picture that the outcome that you want. So that's a blessing in a way because you can see a result almost right away, right? Almost on the spot. So of course it's like easier to be motivated, right? You say, damn, that stuff. It's not only blah blah blah, right? I live in misery, and misery is called the show me state. So
Mm-hmm.
that's all I have to say.
Yep. Yep. I understand.
And that's it. Because this we can become esoteric, we can become metaphysical, which is great, and we already did. Right? But okay, you want also concrete, practical result, right?
Yeah.
You want to make sure that hey, this is working, right? And after when the pain is gone, we say, oh man, oh by the way, I've got this and I've got that. Some people they come to see me. Like remember that guy came to see me that he used to say I'm a loser. That's why I took that example out loud when he was making a mistake. What a stupid loser. That's what he will
Mm.
say.
Mm.
And so we have to reprogram the mind, and now it doesn't, because after you imagine that loop was running
Yep.
coming from his dad, but who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You
It's
can see,
irrelevant.
you can have a self-talk therapy, right? And talk therapy all day long. That's going to be able to help only 5 or 10% of your mind, period. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the reality. I'm not saying it doesn't, it's good to know why, right? But if it doesn't get rid of your what you don't want, who cares?
Yeah.
because it's not the why,
Yeah, I've
basically.
I've definitely heard that before, and like I said, I'm a why person, so I always want to know why something happened, but that's a really great analogy that you're using. In your work, how often do you work with like traditional, and when I say traditional, I mean Western medicine modalities? Because you are a chiropractor, but really what you're talking about is not at all like going to your doctor and saying, "Oh, my neck hurts, my back hurts, my stomach hurts, whatever." It's an alternative modality. Where do you see the partnership with what you do and more Western type of medicine or healing?
Okay, I will say that let's give it credit to where credit is due.
Mhm.
If I break a bone, right, emergency room.
Yep.
If I break a bone, I need the good surgeon, I need the painkiller, I need to have the anesthesia. No
Yep.
problem with that. And I'm going to say why, right? So that's no problem. Now, for long-term pain and stress, they are the number three killer in this country,
Hmm.
according to their own stat, according to the American Medical Association.
Number
Meaning that
three.
why they are, because they don't remember, you need to find the cause, and also you need to know how to fix it. They don't
Mhm.
go after the cause of your problem. Ask a medical doctor, right? Why? What's
Mhm.
the cause? Okay, they're going to give you the drug, right? Okay, and if it's if they found the cause, so I'm going to debate a medical doctor like that. So you've got a osteoarthritis in your knee, right? So they
Mhm.
give you an anti-inflammatory things, right? Or they give you some whatever. So I'm going to tell him, so the cause of my problem is because I had lack of drug. Right? The cause of my
Mhm.
problem is lack of drug. You know how stupid it sounds when I say that? You
Mhm.
say, well, that's silly. But that's really what it is. If you think that you're fixing me, it has to be the cause of a problem. So the cause of a problem is like, I don't have enough drug in my life. I don't have that drug, right?
Yeah.
Which obviously is absurd to say that, right?
Yeah.
So when you treat only the symptom and you don't take care of the cause, you cannot fix
Mhm.
anybody. So what
Yeah.
I'm saying philosophically is like this: you cannot resolve a problem and move on. That's why
Mhm.
people on hook on drug make a ton million of dollars on that, right? Because
Mhm.
the number three killer is what? Medical errors and side effect of the drugs.
Hmm.
And we don't even integrate that all the cause they didn't find that was killing people, the real cause that was killing people after down the road.
Mhm.
We're not even thinking about that, right? So it's much more than the number three killer in the country.
Mm.
It's so to give you an example, what I do personally, because since 1993, I went 3 times in the emergency room for different things. Actually, when I was a student, a chiropractic student, since then, that's it. And we're
Yeah.
what 25 now.
Wow.
So I really preach what I said, right? Because I don't trust them, right? Why should I go to somewhere that they're not going to be able to find the cause of a problem and they don't know how to fix me, therefore,
Mhm.
right? And so um, that's why I tell people, right? And people, they come to see me, most of the time they try everything and they think they have been everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to tell them, I say, they tell me, oh, do you want all the report? I say, okay, that's fine. Just give me the conclusion. But you want a different opinion, right? This is a different universe here,
Yeah.
right? And so we'll find out what the cause of the physical. And I created like technique to relieve the physical stress. The chemical, I knew what's causing it, but now I realize that if you supercharge the body with oxygen, miracle happen. And you don't have to do an alkaline diet. It's a mixture of dirt shit. And for the mental and emotional aspect, we've got the mind clearing, and they all have an impact. We use because the big misconception that I see people who say I'm a mind body practitioner, right? So, for example, if I treat you, Cherish, you're gonna feel super relaxed in your head. It's like do not disturb, right? I mean, I guarantee you that do not disturb. So, do you think it's an emotional treatment? Heck no, because the cause, I didn't go after the cause of the problem, right? So an
Mhm.
emotional treatment, and if you want, so the side effect of a physical treatment is that you feel more relaxed,
Yep.
right? But it's only a side effect. And that's why the confusion, people, they say, oh, I do mind body, so I'm going to treat the mind, you're going to feel more relaxed, so I treated your mind. Heck no, I disagree with that. You see what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah.
There have
Yeah.
to be specific treatment, a specific cause and a specific treatment.
Mhm. I understand. Well, Dr. Salas, just in closing here, is there anything that you want to leave the audience with that is really important that you want to make sure that that they take away from today? Any final tip where
Sure,
they, yeah.
sure. So number one, you are so powerful, you have no idea.
Yeah.
Even I, because I've treated myself, right? I didn't even realize how powerful we are. But you look at the fact, the 90% and the 5 or 10%, that should make you like, wow,
Yeah.
that would be nice if I can use that. So I'm thinking about, having like some hat, right? And it will be written down, yes, you are so powerful.
I love it. Yeah.
Because we really are. We
Mhm.
really are. And also like a message of hope. I see so mmany people who lost hope, right? And they have been told that they have to be like this the rest of your life. I say,
Mhm.
heck no. Because they didn't find what's causing your problem. I don't believe in chance. I don't believe in luck.
Yep.
I believe that we are creating that ourselves, right? And so
Yeah.
when you start to communicate with that subconscious mind, when you start to be more connected to your spirit, amazing things can happen. And
Mhm.
real and true and powerful growth, transformation, and healing can occur. Things that you thought was not possible can happen. What we tapping into your superpower, but those are not superpower. We are born like this. We are just
Mhm.
disconnected,
Mhm.
right? And so what happened, remember with the cloud, you get rid of all the cloud. Now you can feel the sun, right? You can be more connected to your spirit. And so all the so amazing gifts are there, right? The gifts of healing, the gift of transformation, the gift of growth, yeah, and the gift of peace of mind,
Mhm.
to have an open heart, the gift of taking action,
Yep.
easily. You don't need strong will. It will come naturally, right?
Yeah.
We always say you need to, how do we say in America, play hard and work hard. Who said that? Heck no, why? Things can be easy. It doesn't have to be difficult all the time.
Yeah, I agree. I
You
agree.
see what I mean? So we have been
Absolutely.
conditioned to so many things that we think they are truth. They are not. Of course
Mhm.
not. And so there's three things that are important for me. There's three things that number one is truth, knowledge, and freedom. So I'm a
Mhm.
truth, knowledge, and freedom seeker. And they all work together, right? If you don't have the knowledge, maybe you will know only a layer of the truth, right? And
Right.
and after, if you know the truth, you'll be set free, right? And
Yeah.
so those are really important. So what we can do, we can go, because anything we can talk about that forever, cherish. I know
Mhm.
we can together for sure, right?
Yeah.
But it's only talk ultimately.
Yeah.
So it's like a knowledge and you don't apply it, right? What a
Yep.
waste.
Yep.
You see what I mean? So what do you want? You want to experience things, right? Remember, so I will give 20% off of a treatment doing by myself, right? It's going to take 1 hour and we'll go after whatever things that you don't want in your life, right? We'll go after that.
Awesome. That's
So
fantastic.
yeah, and after I've got more goodies, like if you want, because the program, there's free, there's the main program, the basic is called mind clearing, obviously. The
Mhm.
second one is for pain, symptom. You want to get rid of pain and symptom and inflammation in your body, that we call that the body clearing. And the third one is called goal and success clearing. If you take the package or all of them, you will have 50% discount.
Wow.
Because here's the vision. Imagine like in most of the town in America and abroad, there's people that, first of all, that you can learn it for you and you can help to treat yourself, but also your loved one, right?
Yeah.
You see how empowering it is?
Yeah.
You've got like a kid, or you've got even animal. We can work on animal too. You've got a kid or something like that, and there's your family member. They cannot, MDs cannot help it. You can. I
Yeah.
guarantee you, you can. And so also for coaches and health professionals, that are really motivated to get people better, right?
Yeah.
To transform their life. If you're not motivated about that, this is not for you, right? If you want to keep a patient or a client forever, okay, so be it. That's your karma if you want.
Mhm.
But for me, it's very important to go as when you got somebody, there's no way I can burn out now. Oh, by the way, I've got a new family. I've got a son that is 8 years old.
Oh.
Also, of course, the cancer is gone naturally,
Mm.
and now I double my income because I don't have all those employees and all that, right? And for the rest of my life, my purpose and goal is clear. Till my last breath, I'm going to teach mind clearing and talk about my.
I love that. Thank you so much. That's so
No problem.
generous of you. What a beautiful gift. And thank you for sharing that. The ability to really empower people to
This is it.
bring about the changes that they want in their life, and with such generous discounts. Thank you so, so much for joining us today and sharing more about your journey and the work that you're doing. And I can see, obviously, you're very passionate about empowering people and helping people. So thank you. And to the audience, I hope you found significant value out of today and everything that Dr. Alan Salas has shared with us, and that one or two of you or all of you who are watching and listening will take him up on such a generous offer to help you bring about the change in your life that you're looking for. So thank you again, Dr. Salas, for joining us today.